Denise, good afternoon. Welcome in my sister's living room.
Thank you, dear. It's good to be here. It's always good to see your face.
You too, I'm making it formal, but again, a reminder to everyone who watches these videos and shares them with their friends and colleagues. We're just trying to get you all talking, and we want to just spark conversation in various ways. And we hope that this allows everyone to just open up the conversation about different topics.
Hmm.
And Denise, we're talking about fear. Fear not. How many times is that in the Bible? What do
Hmm.
they say?
I think 365 times, something like that for every day.
Yeah, I think that's right, because that helps us remember that there's one for every natural day of the year. Why do we think it's in there so much?
Because God knows our human hearts and that we're just such fearful people. I know I am.
Yeah.
I know people don't think I am because I put on, I'm kind of like Louie, my dog Louie, my rescue dog. He puts on this bravado of like he's super tough, but he's a scared little dog. And if he could run, he'd run. And if he can't run, then he'll fight. And I put on that persona, but man, inside of me, sometimes it's that scared little girl.
Yeah. I don't think you're the only one. I think we go into situations and either because it's unknown or because it is known, we are fearful,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it immobilizes us.
Yeah, I agree. I think the times that I get really fearful, I mean, we've done so many years of you and I talking through fearful things, praying through fearful things, and I just think as I've gone through so many adventures, writing books and starting out on an endeavor, and it feels like I'm not going to make it. If I ever wake up in the middle of the night, the first thing on my mind or out of my mouth is, I'm not going to make it.
Mm.
I'm not going to be able to do, this. Lord, I'm not going to make my mortgage payment. The Lord's like, you got enough to make your mortgage payment. But then what? And he says, I am the God of, but then what? I'm like, okay, I need to just do the next thing. I get fearful because I start thinking of all the scenarios that could happen. I mean, he gave us that kind of mind to just think through all the possibilities. And rather than using it for creativity, I use it to go down that path of fear.
Yeah,
And it sometimes can hold, I know it holds us back.
it sure does. And a lot of times for me, it's because I'm trying to do something in my own power.
Yeah.
I'm doing something um, that maybe I'm supposed to be doing. Um, I'm afraid of the consequences. Sometimes we're fearful of success, right? What if it something really, really works out well? Then what? And like you
Oh,
said, we get ahead of ourselves. We think about the thing after when all he's doing is saying, I'm telling you to do this. Fear not, for I am with you,
right.
you know, and we go into it with our own power.
Ah, our own power. That is the point. And I was with a group yesterday, and somebody brought up First Timothy's. Let me look. Let me read this here. 2 Timothy 1:7, and it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." And I thought of that he puts the word power
Mm-hmm.
first,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm all about that. And then love, and it's kind of like that balance of love, knowing he loves us, loving others, and then self-discipline. I don't know about you. I, that's just not high on my list of great qualities that Denise has, but I'm learning. So I
Yeah,
love.
I do. I love that too, because that's a great reminder, that scripture, because it goes to at the very beginning of it, it says that if we have that spirit of fear, it didn't come from him.
It's not from him. Yeah.
So a lot of that is, like you said at the very beginning, it's in our own humanness.
Yes.
we get afraid. And he knew that. So he put in the word, look, how many times? 365. And all these wonderful, majestic, powerful people of the Bible, these folks, they were told, look, don't be afraid. Or
Yeah,
would you stop being fearful? Or,
yeah,
hey, I'm with you. I'll uphold you. you know, I'm with you. Don't be afraid. So it's, if you think back to it of him being our father, and you think about in our natural lives as parents and children, a lot of times when we as children or our children want to do something or doing something new and unknown and scary, some of our kids are more like,
yeah,
I'm riding a bike, oh, I'm afraid. And as parents, we're like, don't be afraid, just go.
yeah. Yeah. I took my granddaughters kayaking last summer, and just on a little Miami, but some of it was low, so there were some rocks, and Evie got kind of stuck and turned around. Now I know I could save that child if I need to. I just know my capabilities. But she doesn't know. She's never seen her Nona jump in the water and save anybody. And so she's kind of got this little and she's a warrior. That she was fine, but I thought the same thing. It's not for her. It was nice to know that I was there and I could help her.
Yeah,
And all she needed to do was just kind of go with it, and she did. And
yeah.
I'm like, why am I not like that? Why do I think I need to control everything when God is saying, don't be fearful?
And that's awesome, because I think sometimes younger people are have that uh, powerful, brave kind of spirit because they don't know the things that could happen, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes, like you said, we calculate all these things that can go wrong, and we're spending a lot of time on that analysis paralysis that creates that fear, and
right.
we're frozen, and
Yes,
our human brain gets in our way a lot of times.
totally. And think of what it keeps us from doing. I mean, think of how many times we're so fearful, and it keeps us from really seeing what God can do or does or has done in our life. And that's the place I don't want to stay in, because it's not life-giving.
Hmm. Hmm. I wish I could remember who this was, so I apologize if someone knows, then fine. But there was, I believe it was a celebrity who was saying they were trying and doing something new, and their young child was like, "Well, you should go ahead and do it." And this person was like, "Well, I don't know, I'm afraid." And the child said, "Yeah, even if you're afraid, you should do it anyway."
Oh,
And I really think that's what we should do. We should be courageous. Even
yeah,
though we're fearful, do it anyway.
yeah,
Don't allow the fear to freeze us. And then we can work on the next step, which is
right,
just not being fearful, because we know who we belong to.
right,
We know that He told us, fear not. So if He's telling us not to fear, then by golly, we shouldn't be fearing.
right. It is. It I love what that little child said, "Just go ahead and do it." And I know you and Lisa and I have talked about Henry Blackaby saying, just because you don't know what the second step is, don't keep that from taking the first step. Don't let that keep you from taking the first step. And I love that, because it's like that's all God asks us to do. He asks us to just take that next step. And I feel like I know I can do that. You might be asking me to leave all of my career behind so I can go write these books. I don't know what it looks like, but I know I can at least take the next step.
Mhm.
So rather than getting all caught up and, well, maybe I need to sell my house, which, maybe I need to do this. And it's like those plans may happen, but not out of fear,
Yeah,
not because I'm fearful and it's my plan. I don't want to do that.
yeah, that's good. So I really want us all to think about, when do we get fearful? What are the
Yeah.
things that bring fear to our minds, and even more so causes us to freeze up? And if we know there are 365
Yeah.
times that he said in the word, fear not, or don't be afraid, there has got to be
Yeah.
one in there that we can go to, grab
Right.
hold of, pray back, and say, in this situation, I am not going to fear.
Right.
I'm going to be brave. We're going to affirm the
Right.
opposite, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. It's good stuff. Um, I- I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Jonah. Oh, Gideon. I think I probably told you
Mm.
this in Gideon. And God says to Gideon, I mean, first of all, he finds him like in hiding and he calls him a mighty warrior. and and
True.
then he says, and then I know he's like, wait, are you talking? I'm the least, And then he says, as he goes through his little battle stuff, he says, now Gideon, I want you to go down into the enemy camp and I want you to overhear, what they're planning and what they're saying. And God says, and if you are afraid, take your servant Purah. And the very next verse says, so Gideon and Purah went down
Yeah.
to the enemy camp. And I was like, I just love that God knows he's going to be fearful. And, here's what you can do. And I'm like, he just provides that for us. So
Yeah, it's like I'm taking away the option of you not going at all. So it's like,
exactly.
if you're fearful, call Denise and say, Denise, I'm about to swing by and pick you up. Let's go. Yeah, that's
That's
good. That's good. That's good. I love that. I love that insight. So thanks for sharing that. And we want people to give us some comments on what they do when they're afraid, when they're
right.
fearful,
Yeah.
and maybe some of the new insights they get related to what they're going to do in the future.
Yeah. I would love to see that and hear that and get that conversation going because I'm learning. So anything I can learn, I've learned a lot from you, so anything I can learn, comments I can, glean from that would be great.
Absolutely. Reciprocal.
Yeah.
That's why we're in this. We're forever learning. So I thank you
Cool.
for your time.
All right. Thank you, dear. It's good
Thank
seeing you.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.